So there's this game, right, called Inside. Inside what? Inside your mom. And inside, you play as a guy, a little guy, that wears red sweaters, and spoiler alert, really loves him some big, juicy meatballs.
That's what she said.
All right, that's enough of the sexual innuendo. You did what in your window? Now, why is this game so great? Well, there's a bunch of reasons, but my favorite is while all these AAA dumb goofy buttheads are still writing long-ass text prompts, forcing me to watch boring cutscenes I simply cannot skip fast enough, and shoving me into the same piece of shit tutorial level just so I can learn how to press A to jump and B to crouch again. PLAYDEAD, the game studio that made Inside, figured out how to tell players literally everything they needed them to know about how to play their game without saying a single fucking word. And how did they do that, you wonder? Well, the game starts out with you staring at a giant boulder.
It's not just a boulder, it's a rock.
Then, out of nowhere, our dashing hero appears. But then you think, what's happening? What do I do now? There's nothing popping on screen telling me what buttons to press. Oh god, there's no mini-map. How will I know where to go? I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I think I'm lost! Oh wait, I can jump. Ooh, and I can walk. Well, not that way, but I can go this way. Did you catch that? You learn how to jump, walk, right equals good, left equals not quite so good in less than 5 seconds. And holy shit, it happened without anything popping up on screen. I mean, think about it. These days, most humans know how to operate highly technical tactile touchscreen tablets by the time they're tiny, terrible 2-year-old toddlers. So having the expectation that players will button mash until they figure out what does what on their controller isn't a crazy one. Especially when the controls to your game are pretty much the exact same as every other game on the planet. And no, I'm not saying it's always bad to have any information on screen. But Inside is proof that sometimes you don't need to give as much info as you think you do. If you go just a little further, you'll eventually bump into some new friends. Oh hey guys, it's me! Oh shit, why am I crouching? Why are there people in the back of that truck? Are those men in black looking for me? What the hell are the minions from Despicable Me doing here? Why do I look so gosh darn dapper in this sexy ass shirt? Okay, I get it. Show don't tell is starting to become one of those meaningless phrases like, think outside the box.
It's not you, it's me.
And hey bro, like let's start a podcast. But Inside's cohesive use of subtle character behaviors, evocative environmental storytelling, and simple, straightforward foreshadowing displays this concept so masterfully that it makes it almost impossible to deny that a video game can legitimately be considered a work of art. I mean, come on. Isn't it crazy how just a simple hunch of the shoulders absolutely screams to the audience, be careful, something's wrong! And to really seal the deal, the game shows us a bunch of tall masked dudes dressed like James Bond villains, locking up a bunch of other dudes in the back of a semi-truck. You better stop! I don't know about you, but just those couple of hints right there were more than enough to tell me it might possibly be kind of a good idea to probably avoid these guys. No excessively long cutscenes shoving the narrative down your throat, no objective notification telling you to avoid the guards. Also, can we just take a moment to appreciate how much intrigue these easy-to-understand situations in gorgeous minimalist settings introduce, almost hypnotizing us with curiosity, thereby propelling us forward into the next area. But this is all little-bitty baby stuff compared to what's coming up next. Now it's time for our first real puzzle. It's a wall. You gotta climb over a wall. But how? So up to this point, the game has taught us to walk, jump, avoid the bad boys in black, and keep going right as far as we can. However, other than knowing we need to go right, that information isn't helping us with our current situation. So what do? We start to sniff around. We start button mashing again. And before long, we coincidentally press our newly found grab button in just the right spot. Give the rusty refrigerator a great big hug. Aww. And body slam the motherfucker onto the frigid forest floor. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! Therefore, making ourselves a path over the top of that not shit, good for nothing, bitch ass, long titty, no nipple having wall. This seems like common sense, but where other games often get away with letting you move forward without fully understanding their mechanics, Inside's absence of text prompts and NPC chatter condescendingly announcing things like, maybe you should try blank. Shut up, Atreus, you whiny little bitch, makes this a required step in ensuring that players have the tools they need to succeed further down the line. This idea turns the wall into a knowledge gate, which says, if you make it past me, you've learned what I have to teach you. But if the gate didn't exist, you could easily find yourself in situations that appear much more difficult than they really should, tempting you to look up wikis or YouTube walkthroughs to solve what would retrospectively be a very simple problem. And not even a minute later, you find yourself in a seemingly impassable ditch. And you think to yourself, well, I don't see a solution to this problem immediately on screen. Guess I'll die here. No. What you really do is start doing what you did the last time you couldn't climb over something tall, and start looking around for things you can grab with your grubby little hands. And after a short backtrack, you realize you literally stumbled onto the remedy for your vertically challenged woes just a few moments before. And once you use your fancy new box to ascend that previously insurmountable mountaintop, ideally you'll look back on your glorious achievement and realize two things. One, sometimes you have to go backwards to go forwards, meaning left actually does more good than you previously thought. And two, all the pieces of the puzzle may not always be directly where you can see them at all times. Notice how all of this was taught through gameplay, not hints or excessive explanations. This lightly touches on design concept number 4, which is: you find yourself on the ground floor of an abandoned warehouse, where up above you see what seems to be a heavy green lockbox that kinda looks like Shrek about to do a belly flop off the high dive at your local swimming pool. And you think, damn, that's not safe. Right below the safe, you see a boarded up hole that if it appeared on the episode of Markiplier's Smash or Pass Pokemon Edition, you would absolutely give it a 100% 10 out of 10.
Smash.
My point is, if you want players to enjoy the process of learning, it's important that you make what they need to do to succeed way more clear than you probably think you should. It's easy to fall into the trap of blatantly hiding pieces of the puzzle or adding in too many extra pieces too fast in order to make the solution more difficult. But the amazing thing is that during the entirety of Inside's playthrough, it's surprisingly rare to not see every puzzle piece, or at least have a general idea of what you need to do right from the get-go. The game doesn't waste your time by making lights, handles, or switches difficult to see. It doesn't hide the fact that the safe is most likely the best way to break through the hole. It doesn't ask you to do a bunch of things you've never done before really fast and all at the same time. All the game does is invite you to use what you already know to solve an easy to understand situation, while throwing in a small twist to keep things interesting. And you might think that making stuff too obvious would make the game too easy for players to figure out. But trust me when I say that Inside is still delightfully challenging and incredibly rewarding, even though it often goes as far as highlighting objects bright yellow or red to show us that they are
painted?
But this level of clarity isn't always as straightforward as putting a spotlight on useful items. Another way the game communicates to the player is by doing something that I like to call, oh fuck! All right, let's rewind the tape. So check this out. If we take a screenshot of just this one single frame, notice how everything we needed to know about the safe situation was shown to us in the scene from the very start. Safe, hole, rickety board, bullshit piece of rope. Like we realized in the previous point, this information encourages us to find a way up here to push this down here. Now, what if instead of the frame looking like this, it looked like this? Oh, isn't that interesting how the stack of boards went from basically having a big red target painted on its stupid face to blending into the background like an oddly placed set dressing? Isn't it crazy how the direction we're supposed to go no longer feels quite the same as before? This idea also applies to leaving information out of the frame as well. Look at how in the next section of the area, the only things that are on screen are pieces that apply to this specific puzzle. Where the first scene zoomed out to give you the goal and context, this scene zooms in to help you focus on the problem at hand, while still making it clear where you're trying to get to. And once you get to the top, notice how we are reintroduced to the safe issue from both a different physical perspective and a different camera perspective. Now the camera points down in the direction the safe will be going, instead of the frame zooming out to its original position, communicating to us the possible danger of falling, but also showing us what needs to happen to progress. A sunbeam illuminates the safe, making it the subject of the scene, but the dangling rope attached to the board always remains clearly in frame. And even when you begin to push the safe, the rope's connection is shown to us more plainly before it's too late to realize the outcome of our actions. And this time, after we narrowly escape our death, we are able to see the fruits of our labor below and the new path we are able to take. And guess what? We didn't need a waypoint or a giant arrow pointing to the hole to figure that out. It was all understood through clever camera angles and subtle details that help paint a clear picture. Yes, it does make it somewhat easier to explain things silently to players due to the fact that Inside doesn't allow you to move around in 3D space like many other games do. But the concepts remain the same and can still be applied in multiple artistic mediums. But what if we want to teach things while being even more subtle? This leads me to the last design concept, which is, in this final section, we'll use one of my favorite puzzle sequences from the game to display how all of the concepts we've talked about so far can come together in intense and ingenious fashion. As you watch, see if you can pick out where and how each of the concepts we've discussed come into play. Our scene opens far before the start of the puzzle in question, with the sudden subtle sound of a steady heartbeat. We don't realize it yet, but this constant rhythm is actually preparing us for the challenges ahead. As we move forward, we notice long lines of people marching in unison towards an unknown location. And upon closer inspection, it becomes clear that the people marching don't seem to notice that we even exist. almost appearing to be sleepwalking as they mindlessly drone ahead. Not long after, we're forced to cross a room being monitored by two massive mechanical turrets, which we safely could assume are intended to eliminate those who have both literally and figuratively stepped out of line. Carefully avoiding the lights, we ascend to the top of the elevator shaft, tightrope over a decrepit alleyway, and enter through a shattered window into a quiet room. Here we see an open door across from what looks to be an easily jumpable hole carved out of the dusty wooden floor. Just a few feet from daylight, we run to begin our leap and... Dazed and bruised, we stumble to our feet as a robotic eye in the sky spotlights our every movement. It doesn't take long to realize where we are and what might happen if we are unable to blend into the crowd. Our first few movements are difficult to time correctly and cause a tiny red light to blink on the back panel of our hovering electronic overseer. But if we pay close attention, we can begin to realize that the sound of the heartbeat that we've been hearing all along has been subconsciously teaching us the rhythm of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Unable to escape, we find ourselves in the next room, where we can surmise that we've accidentally become part of what one could describe as a live demonstration of lifeless individuals. Just ahead, we can clearly see a rectangular yellow outline marked on the floor where we'll have to work a little harder in order to fit in. Notice how we are given time to absorb each new challenge ahead of us before having to perform the action ourselves. In contrast, our perspective only allows us to see as far as the next step in the process, helping us zone in on what our current priority should be. As we enter the second test, the frame moves away from our observers towards the entrance of a new room, hopefully where we can try to make our escape. Once all of the tests have been completed and we distance ourselves away from the demonstration, the inspecting spotlight finally decides to let us be. But our troubles are still not quite over yet. We start to see the line of zombified humans travel in a direction that we know we ourselves cannot go, signaling to us that we are going to have to break away from the pack. The rhythm stops. An angry dog goes on high alert, and all we have left to do is... Okay, that's cool, but why does all this even matter? Well, if you're a game designer, dungeon master, writer, filmmaker, artist, or shit, just a person trying to communicate effectively to other human beings, applying these concepts can help us communicate our ideas more vividly, entice others to be excitedly engaged while learning, and lead us into crafting beautiful and thought-provoking experiences that will stick with us for a lifetime. Of course, you don't have to go quite to the extreme of saying absolutely no words, but any attempt we can make to say more while speaking less, I believe is a good one. So during your next project, look for opportunities to not waste time telling people things they already know. Use behavior, environment, color, anything to convey information without having to literally spell it out word for word. Give folks time and space to understand what you are trying to say. Once they get it, change up the formula in cool little ways to keep them wanting more. When you add something new, make it clearer than you think you should so they can easily notice the change. Put all the information where we can see it and let us discover how it all connects. And use subtle, repetitive concepts and themes to quietly prime a person's understanding over time, gently guiding them to a grand realization. Alright, that's all I got for this video. If you liked it, do me a favor and share it with a friend you think would enjoy it as well, and make sure to listen all the way to the end for a couple ways you can get involved and help the channel grow. If you're signing off here, thanks so much for watching, and go make something cool. Hey folks, this is About 15 Zebras. I sincerely hope you've enjoyed this small change in subject matter I've made for my last set of videos. If you're new to the channel, the first series that I posted was about how I spent 10 months designing and modding custom RPGs on a game called Tabletop Simulator, and how that whole situation kind of went to shit. So, if you like this video, I'm pretty sure you would enjoy those videos too. And the last thing I want to mention is that I have a Discord server that I would love for you to be a part of if you want to meet me and lots of other people who have a deep passion for game design in all of its different forms. We have a lot of great members that are into TTRPGs and board games, but also 3D modelers, artists, coders, writers, and spreadsheet wizards. So I think it would be really awesome if we expanded the herd even more to designers from the indie video game development world as well. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, Zebra.